Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just took my 11-year-old to eat at the Waffle House. We had the all-star breakfast. I haven't had one of those waffles in a while, and it was strong with syrup. My X account is still suspended without any warning, without telling me why. After 5 years of building my presence, I will continue to remind everyone of this until these guys do the right thing and reinstate my account or get their customer service or their email customer service, whatever you call it, to reinstate my account, because this is a travesty. In the meantime, I am setting up my own island in exile so that I don't have to be at the behest of these social media, whatever you want to call them, censorship social media platforms. I've created, this is, you can go and find it. There's already been a great response and I really appreciate it. It's DAIXRP.com. You can go and sign up. What I did is it's kind of like I'm building the island right now, so that down the road, if the bad guys, who knows, the people behind the ETH that don't want me to be talking, or whoever it is, I'm building my own little island so that I can still have a voice regardless of them. And so I did a really inexpensive type thing. And what I'm going to do while in the process is I'm going to upload my videos every day to this platform, and there won't be any ads for the official. And remember, when you join, you become an official member of the Digital Asset Investor channel. This is kind of like having a members only jacket in the 80s. I mean, not just anybody could have one, right? Check it out. But everybody's welcome. Boom, 17, that's a trillion. Billion. 17.4 billion in U.S. Treasuries dumped. The BRICS nation setting the stage for financial anarchy. Talking about how China, and I think China, Brazil, and Saudi Arabia were all dumping billions of treasuries. So financial anarchy, game on. I'm glad I own gold and XRP. Look at this. Just in the Ethereum Foundation sold 1,700 Ethereum for $1,611 about a half hour ago. So that was at 6:30 a.m. So at around 6 a.m. is when they sold it. I would sell that garbage too. I couldn't remember if I'd ever seen this video of Gary Gensler, but I'm going to make a point. Real XRP boy had put it out. Watch this.
The conference. I know that you're working with some companies on some pretty cutting edge stuff at MIT. So I don't know if you could tell us a little bit about those.
So we have a initiative, and we stand these up at MIT from time to time. We have an initiative where 12 financial firms have funded a group called FinTech at the Computer Science and AI Lab. And it's a way a group of companies to jointly fund sponsored research. And it's kind of interesting. We were able in our first year to work with these dozen companies from around the globe. I mean, they range from Citibank to Consensus. You know, to sort of
Citibank, who just did this, launches a new token service. Remember, both announced that they were launching these token cross-border type services after they found out Ripple has survived and won a 3-year lawsuit. Here's JP Morgan, and these just happen to be the two that he was working with in MIT.
A range of the space that they might be in. I'd say 3 or 4 of our 10 projects are really about deep learning, machine learning, and the cutting.
We don't need to hear any more. We get it. We know exactly what that is. I like this. Today you can afford XRP, but in the near future it will cost as much as a mortgage payment. Don't be that person living in regret when the time comes. Don't worry, Zanuku, or however you say your name. I will not be living in regret. I am strapped in with my gold and my XRP. Don't you worry. Now, we've said it before, when the history books are written, unless they're lying history books, the Ripple case, ETHgate, and decentralized justice will be taught in schools. Well, listen, here's a start.
Excellent. Stacey, where do we go from here?
This is, so you know, she's a professor of accounting, University of Maryland, co-lead of Digital Asset Management Working Group at the Government Blockchain Association.
From here, we are going to work on tokenomics. We're also polishing up and on building out a little more detail on the legal pieces of the course. We're selecting cases that we want to do case studies, particularly, not really case studies, but important cases that we can pull legal themes out of, in terms of how things are shaping up, things that perhaps cases that we believe will be landmark cases down the road. Great example, Ripple versus SEC.
Yes.
And everything that's come out of the Ripple case that looks like it's going to be a landmark case on how to define and determine what is a security in the space. So that's an important case to be aware of, to understand. And so we want to have that in the material. Tokenomics, we're working on pulling our source material right now for tokenomics to build that section out. And then from there, I guess I just have to write 200 quiz questions. So it's my favorite part of teaching, right? Writing quiz questions.
I can help you write some questions on ETHgate.
We'll move into putting all this material into slides and recording it. And that's going to be the big push over, I'd say, probably the winter.
Here's a question: who was in the room when the SEC was being presented with the safe harbor proposal? Who was in the room? The answer: well, there's several people, but I'll name a couple. Lowell Ness, the attorney for Andreessen Horowitz, Bill Hinman. The presenter was Brad, is his name Brad Sherman from Union Square Ventures? Nancy Wotas was one of the good people in the room. We could come up with a list so that you have a full answers. Would this be a multiple choice question?
We'll be able to debut it next spring. So a lot of work has been done to date.
My son, by the way, has been taking all these SATs and all this to try to get in colleges. And boy, oh boy, I am glad I am not in school. Can't tell you how many tests I took. I never was good at those standardized tests myself.
And there's still a lot more work to do. So I'd say we're probably at our 60% mark completion. And the future's going to be fun.
All right. And then we have this. I wanted you to hear this. This is a clip that I had not, I wasn't aware of it. I was made aware of it. This is XRPP, the Standard Productions. He used to be parody. I think he's partial parody now. But he was doing a Spaces. I think it was mostly serious. Maybe he's 75% serious. No, maybe he's 25% serious and 75% joking. I'll have to ask him. I haven't. He's somewhere in that. There's percentages going on. But anyway, this is a good clip where he had John Deaton on after the Torres denial of the SEC appeal. And then the official cool guy jumps in there. He's also an attorney and kind of throws something out there that I thought was interesting too. If I can get it to play. Oh, come on. No, let me get it.
Can hear me,
right here.
That adopt Judge Torres's rationale to all cryptos. But here, a lot of XRP holders can say that she even made it more clear that as of right now, on this day, excluding Bitcoin, XRP is the only one clearly with legal clarity.
And just quick, Johnny Dietz, I always said that I think this thing settles. We don't have to go there. But as an attorney,
only the official cool guy. You got to be a certain kind of cool to even throw something like that out there. Who would even come up with that? This guy, I knew this guy had the it factor when I first saw him cruising down the street in Brooklyn. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago now? There are not everyone could say what he just said, but it rolls off his tongue like it's nothing.
Anytime I try to resolve a case or even enter into negotiations, it's never good or never a good time to have the other side, even if they're right or wrong, having an appeal hang over my head and pretending that they have leverage during any of those discussions. So it's pretty big decision today, regardless of what the outcome, whatever happens.
And I think, let me just say, Mr. Aya's point is well taken because, some might argue that the SEC filed this interlocutory appeal to gain leverage in the settlement discussions, if there are any. And I'm not saying there are any, but that would be one. That leverage was just nullified.
Well,
and so that's a great point.
Three questions are begged for me. And this is someone who is...
That's pretty cool. That's the second time I've heard John Deaton say they could be having settlement discussions. Second time I've heard him say it. And it was almost, I'm not saying it was, but it almost sounded like a Freudian slip there. And that's the second time I've heard, now cool guy's referencing it too. The SEC's lost its leverage, which is where settlements happen. Now, this was an interesting clip. This was sent to me by Mike Jansen. Many of you know Mike Jansen. Mike Jansen is the official guy who created my intro and my outro, who used to be the announcer for the Indianapolis Colts. And he sent me this. I think he spends some time on TikTok because he sent me this clip this morning. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's good to know.
The question, of course, is when.
Most people don't realize this. Most people have no idea what I'm about to show you in this video. Most people do not realize how high Bitcoin is about to go because most people don't realize how artificial the bear market is/was.
It's
monetary manipulation, i.e. the fastest rate increase in the history of the Fed, combined with a black swan level fraud. This is the reason prices have gotten so low. IDX Chief Investment Officer explains exactly this. Listen.
Rising rates start to reprice risk assets, and all of a sudden, we're talking to a lot of institutional investors who are saying, listen, if I can get 4, 5, 6% in treasury bills, why would I take any?
Make no mistake, folks. What this guy's saying is 1,000% true. I've told you, if you think FTX was anything other than a government operation, you need to think again. I was sitting here. It came out of nowhere. I'd never even heard of FTX. Then all of a sudden, Tom Brady pops up advertising it. And I'm not saying Tom Brady would have known it's a government operation. I don't think he would have known anything. But I'm telling you, it was a setup. If you look at that org chart for FTX, that freaking thing was a setup. That was not done by some kid with Asperger's that plays video games during an interview. He was like a patsy, is what he was. Combine that, they all of a sudden, after a decade of just keeping interest rates low, all of a sudden, they just raise them, and they refuse to stop. And at the same time, Gary Gensler is taking a hatchet to crypto. This was all planned by design. This guy is so over the target.
Elsewhere. And so that's kind of the big story across macro assets. Now layer on top of that.
The way these Wall Street guys operate, folks, is they hammer markets and they buy while they're being hammered. Well, if this was going to be the largest surge ever and a rollover of this entire financial system into the digital system, wouldn't that be the time to hammer it more than you've ever hammered before you flip that switch? Yes, it would be.
Crypto had its own crypto winter in the form of regulatory crackdowns. And we had a lot of bad actors flushed out, which ultimately is a good thing. The FTX scandal, of course, was a huge scandal unto itself. And so as investors work through that, you couple that with the regulatory overhang, and there was a lot of uncertainty kind of coming into 2023. I think the good news is that we're starting to get through some of that regulatory uncertainty. We're seeing things like spot filings from BlackRock, which are very encouraging.
Let me you know what I'm gonna do right here is I'm gonna do something that I'm going to do something right now, and I'm doing this on a whim because BlackRock popped up. I'm gonna say something right now, and I'm not gonna say it on my normal channel. This clip that I'm about to say is a true thing that happened to me, and I'm not going to say it on the YouTube. I'm only going to say it in my private, in my group that my island, DAIXRP.com. I'm only going to put this clip in there. I'm going to clip it out for the main channel because that's part of what I want to include in the group. So DAIXRP.com. Now I'm going to say what I'm going to say. When I was at the proper party, there you go. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family what I just told you if you're at DAIXRP.com. Thanks for listening.